Hi, and welcome to another video by Super Kawaii Mama. I'm Candice DeVille, and today I'm going to show you how I do my makeup on a daily basis. The simple glamour girl kind of style that is easy to achieve and something that I can generally do in under 5 minutes. I'll try not to talk too much and get this one knocked over for you. Okay, so first of all, you're starting with a cleansed face and you've allowed the time for your moisturiser, your eye cream and all those sorts of things to settle. The other product that I like to use is a primer, something that helps the makeup go on nice and smooth so that you don't have lumps and bumps and all those sorts of things. The one I'm using today is by Eyeshadow and it's called Ageless. It's a really simple and cheap product, but it works well. Okay, the first thing I like to do is apply concealer through these sections here, because of course with 2 little kids things can get a bit tiring sometimes. So the concealer that I actually use is by Benefit Erase Paste. This stuff is magical, I'm telling you. Try it for yourself. Okay, so I put a little bit of concealer onto the applicator and pop it in the section that's just next to the nose there. I try not to put too much under the eye because I don't want it to cake or settle in fine lines. Yes, I have them. Okay, now that I've dabbed that into there, I'm going to take a finger. Generally use a ring finger, but of course mine are a little long on the nails, so I'm going to use the nail that I've broken to dab that in. Okay, so blending this is really, really important. If there's a little bit of excess, I like to actually bring it across the eyelids to give a bit of a base for the eyeshadow, and also down through this section here where I tend to get darker circles, as you can probably see. But I try and avoid putting it into just this section here where I have a few little fine lines and I don't want it to adhere to that section if I can help it. Okay, next thing. Everyone keeps asking me about what foundation I use because it tends to leave my skin still looking glowing. Mainly because it's a mineral foundation and it allows my natural skin tone to shine through. The one I'm using is by Laura Mercier and it's called Tender Rose. Give it a bit of a shake. Pop some of that up. Also, having the right tools is really critical to getting these looks right, rather than having to use fingers to make this happen or really short, rough brushes. I've got a little set here from Sephora that I like to use. And just pop a little bit of the mineral foundation onto the brush and load it up. Rather than putting that straight on the face, I actually then drop that back into the lid. So I'm not getting too much foundation powder on my face to start with. Right, there are lots of different techniques to this, but I'll show you just how I do it. Start at the outside and then work my way in. I'm using the brush in a circular motion. Paying particular attention to actually blending it out at the edges. Now, I don't know if you can see the difference there, but I've got it on this side of the face and nothing on this side. So let's add it and balance me out. Trying not to get powder in my mouth. Now, one of the great things about this mineral powder foundation is that the more you add, the heavier the coverage. So if I'm doing a photo shoot, I pay a lot more attention to getting a heavier coverage, but then if I need to cover any shiny pieces, I actually use a translucent powder rather than adding any more mineral foundation because I don't want it to get heavier or thicker. Okay. Right. There we go. That bit's done. So, from there, I move straight into the eyes. Very important. Once again for the eyes, I like to use a really neutral base, something that's only a shade or two darker than the foundation I've used. I'm also using a Laura Mercier product here. This one's called Vanilla Nuts. I'm hoping you can see the colour there, but it's really, really light beige. Using a big flat wide eyeshadow brush, this one here, I take the colour and apply it over the entire lid all the way up to the brow. I even push it a little bit into this section here, just to also help with any dark circles and lightening up that area. But it gives it a really good smooth base to work with. Okay, now that we have a base for our face, our base for our eyes happening, I put in a little bit of highlight colour on the eye. This one that I'm using is a Lancome colour, number 217. And this is a slightly pinky brown tone, something that I want to use to highlight the crease here. I also tend to use slightly deeper beiges, perhaps sometimes a goldy tone, but it just really depends on what kind of mood I'm in. Once again, I'm using an eyeshadow brush. It's got a rounded top. There we go. And it's nice, fat and flat. So, not being too heavy on this colour. You can dab off a bit on your hand if you need to. Work it into the crease, starting about the middle of your eye. So about where your iris is, I'm working this into the crease. Now remember, this is all from my eye shape that I'm working on. So I work this colour into the crease, only that halfway mark, not the whole way, to the edge. And then once I reach the edge, using the brush to create a little sort of triangle type shape here, that we then blend and blend outwards. Starting from that center point again, blending down, a little triangle, and then blending up and out with light flicking motions. Okay, evening them out, making sure we're all good. There you go, my eyes are starting to appear. Now from here, I'm not actually going to add any other colour to the eye because I'm keeping it really, really basic for a classic Hollywood glamour look. Here is our most important ingredient, the liner. Now the liner that I'm using is a Sephora liquid liner. I also like to use the Shiseido pen liquid liner, but if I'm going for a really nice fat kick line, I like to use this one sort of painted on a little bit differently. Now, if you've had a lot of practice, you can start from here and in one foul sweep, kick it out. However, if you're a beginner or you're looking for a very particular shape on the outside, you can start about 1 centimetre from here and just work on this section, then go back and finish this later. I'll show you my technique here. Keeping the eye almost closed. This is quite tricky. And making sure not to frown, otherwise you'll get big wrinkles in here. Paint it to the thickness that you're after.